Let's talk today about moving some files to your Google Drive cloud storage. As you can see on my desktop, I have a number of different files, maybe some individual images, and I've also got some folders here with some information in them. So if I wanted to copy this to my Google Drive, there's a couple of different ways to do it. One of the simplest ways is to simply open the Google Drive web interface, choose the folder where I would like to have my items go. Let's find a pictures folder here. And either simply dragging and dropping an individual file, or potentially an entire folder. While this is one way to do it, it's not the most efficient way. As you can see, the web interface is taking care of moving these uploads. This wasn't a very big one. There was only about 11 files in that folder. But if you're doing a large folder, either large content or a large number of files, this is relying entirely on your web browser to handle and manage moving or copying your file out to your cloud storage. While it does work, it's not the ideal way to do it. The best thing to do is to use the Google Drive desktop app. Now, you have to first check and see if you have it installed. It's an actual program that you install on your computer. There's two ways to do this. One, if you click this little chevron icon to show your hidden icons down in your taskbar by your clock, you should have a Google Drive icon. Yours might say Google Drive FileStream. FileStream is an older version. Google recently rebranded FileStream to just simply Google Drive. The second way is to open up File Explorer, either with the File Explorer icon on your taskbar or by clicking Start and typing File Explorer and opening up your File Explorer. In File Explorer, if you click on this PC, if you have a G drive, either here or listed below this PC, then Google Drive, the desktop app, has been installed. What this application allows you to do is to see your drive contents in your File Explorer interface. Now, if you don't have Google Drive, you'll want to go back to your drive interface on the web, click the little settings icon, and there's a shortcut in here that says Get Drive for Desktop. This will open up a browser where you can then go to the Download and Install Google Drive for Desktop, expand this, and download the proper version. You'll have to download and then install this. It may require a system reboot, usually it doesn't, but once you have downloaded and installed it, this G drive under this PC, this Google G drive, will show up. Let's do a quick orientation about how this is set up here in File Explorer. When you open File Explorer, this address bar at the top is where you're at. For example, if I open up this Innovations folder from my desktop, I will see the contents of the folder, but I can also click on the address bar and see that I'm on my desktop in Innovations. The other things that you will notice when you first open this are Quick Access, this PC, and Network. I work almost entirely off of this PC. I don't generally use these Quick Access folders, although occasionally I may use them for downloads or documents, sometimes for pictures. These are essentially shortcuts into the storage location on your PC where these can be stored. And they're actually called a library because you can have it point to multiple storage locations. But if you go to this PC, what we're going to look at, there's three sections. There's folders, devices and drives, and network locations. By default, these are all expanded. Folders will show, again, these folders will be similar to your quick access folders, although they're not exactly the same. This actually is your pictures folder. Pictures under quick access is your pictures library. Maybe a little confusing, that's why I generally don't use these. I will generally go straight to my devices and drives. In this section, these are the devices or the drives that are attached to your computer. You're going to have a C drive, that's the internal storage mechanism on your computer. You may or may not have a DVD drive, I do. This Extreme Pro drive letter E and this storage F, these are USB drives that are attached to my computer. Both are 1 terabyte drives that I have attached to the computer. And then this G drive, this Google G drive, is simply a software drive. It doesn't actually exist attached to my computer. It's simply what the program adds that gives me my shortcut to the G drive. Network locations are shared network drives. So you will have an S drive and an H drive, and you may have some other drives here. These are drives that are only accessible on the network. What we want to do is copy the files that are on our network storage and put them in our Google Drive. This will do two things. It'll make those files accessible anywhere that you have an internet connection. These network location files are only accessible while you are at school or on campus or attached to the school's network. The G drive, your Google G drive, is accessible anywhere you have an internet connection. Currently, you might be able to access your network files remotely, but that's only through an external VPN connection that may or may not work. The Google Drive solution is by far the best, and it's the way you want to go. In order to copy or move files into your G drive with the most efficiency, the best thing to do is to open up File Explorer, this interface, and go to your G drive. Here you will see that you have My Drive and Shared Drives. This matches exactly what you have when you're in Google Drive through the web interface. You can see that I have My Drive, which the folders here are the same as the folders in My Drive, and I have Shared Drives. So I will go back into Shared Drives, and here you can see I have all of the Google Shared Drives that I have access to. As soon as a Google Shared Drive is added and you are given permission to access that drive, it will automatically show up under your shared drives. Now, if you want to move things or copy things into your G drive, let's say I want to move or copy this Snipe import folder that I have on my desktop out to my Google Drive. I'm going to look first to see if I have a Snipe import folder. I don't. So I can decide if I want to put it in a subfolder or whether I want it to go in here. When you're dragging and dropping items into File Explorer, you need to be careful. If you're over a folder, it's going to copy the contents into that folder. However, if I'm just over a file, it's going to copy this folder so that it shows up along with the list of these folders. But if I were to drop it here, it would copy that into my Tech Plan folder. So I'm going to drop it here. You'll get your file copy progress bar that you would see. And you can see the icon's slightly different here. This one's a cloud and this one has a little circle on it. If the icon were larger, we would be able to see that it's actually syncing the content. So it's actually uploading behind the scenes. And now these icons have all changed to the cloud, which tells me that it's now that Snipe import folder is now fully accessible, not only here through my G Drive interface, but also if I go to my web interface I'll be able to go down to the S's and see that I have my Snipe import folder with the contents that are in here. Now, if you want to copy contents, say from your network drive, the easiest thing to do, because you're not taking something from a folder on your desktop, the easiest thing to do is to open a second File Explorer window. You can either do this by right-clicking on the icon in your desktop taskbar and then clicking File Explorer, or again, you can click the Start menu, start typing File, and click File Explorer. I now have a second File Explorer window, and these two windows can have different locations or destinations in them. So if I go to this PC here and I select my network folder, I'm going to open up my S drive. I'm now going to click and drag this to snap it to the edge, and I've got my other window snapped to the left. So the window on my left is Google Drive G, and I'm going to open up my drive to be here, and the window on my right is my S drive. Now I could simply select all of the folders that I want in here. I'm going to do some smaller subset of folders here, and I could drag them over here and drop it. Again, you have to be careful, because if I was to drag and hover over a folder, it's going to want to put it in a subfolder, so I'm going to actually scroll down and just drop it on top of the files here, just like this. Let go on my drive, and now you can see the progress bars coming up, and you may get some messages that will either tell you that the file already exists, or different messages, and it will give you options to do to handle those file duplications any way that you want. And here you can see that I'm actually copying over 400 items, 105 meg, and now Windows is handling this process rather than my web browser handling it. This is nice, because then I can continue working on other things in the background. I have an idea of where the file copy process is at, how long it's going to take, and once it's finished, it is just done. Now that file copy process is complete, the progress window just simply vanished, and all of the files that were in here are now on my Google Drive on my cloud storage. So I will have access to my G drive and those files anywhere that I go, as opposed to having access to them only while connected to the school's network. This is also super handy in case something were to happen to the school's network drive and you couldn't access it anymore. Those files are now on a shared Google Drive where you have access to them on any computer you log into, not just the computer that you're at. Hope you found this video super helpful. We'll catch you next time.